Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Radha.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Daita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. bringing your group. Thank you, Prabhuji, for bringing your group, and all of you for coming. And so today we'll be celebrating. What are we celebrating today? Who? Nityananda Pero. When was Nityananda Pero to sing?
Yesterday.
But we can live it every day. That is the glories of Nityananda Ram. He is so merciful, so compassionate. So we'll read today a verse we read last night from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is from Adi Lila. And this is the 5th chapter. The title of the chapter is The Glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. This is verse number 204. Jaya Jaya Nityananda Charanara Vinda Yana Haita Paina Shirada Govinda. Shall we repeat? Jaya Jaya Nityananda Charanara Vinda
Jaya Jaya Nityananda Charanara Vinda.
Jaya Jaya Nityananda Charanara Vinda
Jaya Jaya Nityananda Charanara Vinda.
Yana Haite Paina Shri Radha Govinda.
Yana Haite Paina Shri Radha Govinda.
Translation. All glory to the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, by whose mercy I have attained Shri Radha Govinda. Purport. By his divine grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Srila Narottam Das Thakur, who is the famous poet, composition known as Prarthana, has lamented in one of his prayers, when will Lord Nityananda be merciful unto me, so that I will forget all material desires? Srila Narottam Das Thakur confirms that unless one is free from material desires to satisfy the needs of the body and senses, one cannot understand the transcendental abode of Lord Krishna. And he also confirms that one cannot understand the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna without going through the direction of the 6 Goswamis. In another verse, Narottam Das Thakur has stated that without the causeless mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, one cannot enter into the affairs of Radha and Krishna. Om Jnana-Timirandasya Jnana-Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Bharati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostuye Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patinanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Prachayine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Jeshakarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So one favor. If you see a spot to the left of you, can you slide over one spot? Because as people come late this side, so if you have some space, we have some. If you see some space, you come forward. 4 people are scared. Nobody likes to sit in the front. Although today the people are sitting. Normally when we go to like a concert or movie, we race to the front seat. But anytime we have Bhakti Vriksha, we have this phenomenon. Everybody sits around the back perimeter first. And the late people are punished by having to sit in the front. This is how the material world and the spiritual world are opposite. So, today we have a very wonderful opportunity in association of all the wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis to celebrate this most glorious festival of Lord Nityananda. His appearance day was yesterday, and as I hope we'll see, Lord Nityananda is extraordinarily important and essential in our process of devotional service. And how so, we'll be discussing today. So we'll have a little discussion today, and then we'll discuss this prayer by Narottam Das Thakur. We saw in the purport to this verse that Srila Prabhupada has quoted a couple of different prayers from Narottam Das Thakur. So we'll read one, discuss it, and sing it. And then we'll have the opportunity to offer Abhishek to Panchatattva. And then, of course, last but not least, what's the most important part of today? Prasadam. Don't worry, everybody will be fed. I know we're going out of order for some, but don't worry, there is unlimited sumptuous prasadam available. So, yes, we'll conclude with that. Is that okay? Yes. So how many of you are coming, hearing about Lord Nityananda's appearance day for the first time? Okay, good. Quite a few of you. And how many of you are hearing for many times before? A few of you? Okay. So we'll try to intermingle everyone into the conversation. So, Lord Nityananda Ram. So, in order to understand who is Lord Nityananda, we have to back up a little bit and go back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead?
Krishna.
How do we know?
He says so.
He says so. That's the number one reason. And how else do we know? All Shastra enjoins that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Lord Shri Krishna. No matter where you look, where you find. So, He is the source of everything. As Brahma says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. Anadir Adir. He is the source of everything. And who is that source? Govinda. Everybody knows who Govinda is, Krishna. But not everybody understands that Govinda is actually the source of all sources. Which includes then the source of who? All of us. So we say, no, my mother, my father. Yes, that is the intermediate source. But who is their source? There's their father. Well, who is their source? Eventually there must be one original source. And that is the Supreme Personality of God. And so He is the Supreme Source and the Supreme Creator. And He has created all of us. And we may ask, why? Why did He create all of us? Well, He created all of us to enjoy with Him in eternal bliss and happiness. That was the purpose of our creation. But for some unforeseen reasons, not unforeseen per se, but due to some desires we had, Icha Dvesha, Krishna explains in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we wanted to try to enjoy separate from our Supreme Father. So He manifested this material world for us to try to enjoy separate from Him. But let me ask you, what is the mood of a mother and father whose child has run away from home? How are they feeling? Unhappy, depressed, anxious, sorrow, restless. Good one. So how do you think Krishna is feeling? We may think He is sitting in the spiritual world enjoying with all of His devotees. Actually, He also has great pain in His heart because some of His lost children are not with Him. Who are those lost children? Krishna is so anxious to have us back with him that he says in Bhagavad Gita, Paritarnaya sadhanam vinashaita dushkatam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge. He comes yuge. You get millennium after millennium. Why? To deliver his devotees, to destroy the miscreants, and to establish the process of religion, so that we can return home back to God. And we know how anxious is a mother and father to bring their child back home. A little bit or a lot? What will they do to bring their child back home?
Anything.
They'll keep searching everywhere. They'll do anything. Is there anything they won't do? To the extent of their power, they'll do, right? So Krishna is non-different. But the only difference is, what is the extent of Krishna's power? Anything. He is unlimited. So he extends unlimited efforts to return all of his children back to him. So he performs many activities, one of which is he personally comes. And he establishes the perfect process by which we can assuredly go back home, back to Godhead. Right? If a father is going to give to his child some instructions about how to return home, will there be any imperfections in that instruction? Will he give him the long route or the short route? Is he going to give him the easy route or the hard route? So what do you think Krishna's going to do? He is going to give us the surefire, the perfect, the shortest, fastest, easiest route to return back home. And he's so anxious for that to happen. So he came and he spoke this most powerful Bhagavad Gita. And he gave us all the instructions of what to do through the means of speaking to Arjuna. But actually he was not speaking to Arjuna. Who was he speaking to? Us. All of us. Because Arjuna was in distress, he was in fear, he was in anxiety, he was disturbed, he was confused. He was like all of us. So that is why Krishna spoke. And at the end of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vrata. You just abandon everything. And mamekam. To me, you surrender. I'll take care of everything. But, as we know, the false ego is not so ready to surrender. He said, why have to surrender? I'm my own person. We'll see how that takes us. So, Krishna is lamenting. He has gone back to the spiritual world. And he is lamenting. And he is feeling that I have spoken exactly how my lost children can come back to me. I've given the perfect instructions, incomplete. Not one step is missing. Nothing left to be assumed, nothing left to be guessed. But he is having a pain in his heart that he has not shown how to come back to him. So in this way, Krishna declares, okay, I will come back. And I will come back and actually show the process of devotional service. I will come in the mood of a devotee. But I'm bringing reinforcements. I'm not coming alone. And so Krishna comes himself along with his associates as the Panchatattva. Panchatattvaatmakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Vataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. So Krishna himself comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is Bhakta Rupa. He is coming himself, not as an expansion, not as an incarnation, but he himself in the mood of a devotee. And that appearance will be celebrating in 4 weeks' time on March 6th. Monday, please mark your calendars. It is the most auspicious day of our calendar. And you say, wait a minute, you said that yesterday. They're both true. So, Krishna comes himself in the mood of a devotee to show devotional service. How to actually practice what he explained in the Bhagavad Gita in his appearance as Krishna. And he came and gave an even easier process. He even simplified the process. And said, what was his single instruction to all of us? Chant the holy names of the Lord. Chant. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So how many of you are hearing this for the first time? We should chant the holy names of the Lord. Now how many of you find it very easy to chant the holy names of the Lord? Few of you? Alright. You are lucky. But we know to chant the holy names of the Lord even requires great mercy. To chant enthusiastically, consistently, with great love and attention, with great purpose and intention. This chanting is a lifelong process. So Krishna comes not only himself, Bhakta Rupa, but he comes as Bhakta Sarup, as his expansion. And who is that expansion?
Nityananda.
Lord Nityananda. Of course, we discussed last week how he came as Bhakta Avatar, as the incarnation, as Advaita Acharya. He also comes as Bhakta Shaktikam, Shakti Tattva, Gadadhar Pandit, and the devotee, Srivas Thakur. So let us understand now. So Krishna is anxious for us to come back. So Krishna's first expansion. Who is Krishna's first expansion? Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram is Krishna's first expansion. And Srila Prabhupada explains in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains in the beginning of this chapter, that Krishna and Balaram, there is actually no difference. They're equal. Their only difference is in complexion of skin. One is light, one is dark. And Prabhupada writes the Supreme Personality of Godhead in describing Lord Balaram. So when I opened the class of who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we got 50% credit. But don't worry, we'll all get 100% for Shah. No quiz here. So, Lord Balaram is Krishna's first expansion. And Lord Balaram is performing endless service to Krishna, facilitating all of Krishna's different pastimes. He is expanding himself further. So all the avatars that we hear of, they actually come through Lord Balaram. So Krishna expands to Lord Balaram, and from Lord Balaram there are many layers of expansions we won't get into, but all of the avatars come through Lord Balaram. So in this way he's performing many services. But the principal service of Lord Balaram is to serve as Adi Guru. What is the role of Guru in our life? Guide us, show us. Show us what? How to do 2 + 2? Right path. How to go from here to Ypsilanti or Ann Arbor or Lansing? What path? Spiritual path. Spiritual path to where? Back home. Who is waiting there? In what mood? Good mood. Once he sees us. But right now, until we go, how's he feeling? Anxious. He's so anxious that in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, it's explained that when the jiva goes back to the spiritual world and Krishna sees the jiva coming, Krishna starts running and the jiva is running and they embrace and Krishna faints in ecstasy. So much happiness to have this child back home. And we can just imagine how ecstatic we would be if we were separated from our child for some time and then they came back. So in that same way, it is Krishna's mood. So Lord Balaram is serving as the source of all gurus who are guiding all of Krishna's lost children back home, back to God. And that is the role of Guru. not to perform some miracle or to relieve you of all, or fulfill all your material desires, but it is to give you the real path back home, back to Godhead. And Lord Balaram is that source of all gurus. So now we get to Lord Nityananda. Who is Lord Nityananda?
Balaram.
He's expansion of Krishna through
Balaram.
He is Balaramji. Balaram has appeared himself again as Lord Nityananda. So what do we think the mission of Lord Nityananda is?
Get back home.
To bring us back home. Same mission as Lord Balaram. So Lord Nityananda. What does Nitya mean?
Always.
And Ananda? Bliss. His name itself gives us his mission. He is on a mission to give us all eternal bliss and happiness by taking to the process of chanting the holy name and serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Lord Nityananda has come with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now we mentioned briefly a little bit about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when somebody gives us a great gift, something of great value, our appreciation for them, our respect for them increases, right? Somebody gives us, a pair of socks, we're like, all right. Somebody gives us like some diamonds or something really nice, we become very grateful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us this process of devotional service. And he has made it most obtainable for all of us. He is called Mahavadanaya. What does that mean? Most merciful. What does merciful mean? What does mercy mean?
You might do something wrong, but
Might do something wrong, but
there is no punishment.
okay.
There is no punishment.
Kindness, forgiveness,
Who gets pleased very easily?
who is pleased very easily.
Compassion.
Sorry.
Tolerance.
Tolerance,
Compassion.
compassion,
Sees only the good.
huh?
Sees only the good.
Sees only the good. Any other ideas of mercy?
I feel like
Well-wisher. Yes.
I feel like mercy implies that they have some power to do something more, but they don't.
So they have some great power to do something. Yes.
Like take vengeance or something, but they say no. I won't.
They
Forgiveness.
tolerate, forgive.
Good call, forgiveness.
Full of love.
Huh?
Full of love.
Full of love. Yes. These are all wonderful examples. So, to be merciful is to help us in need to one's fullest capacity, to sacrifice their own circumstance, to give to somebody else. And one who is more merciful gives more freely, more openly, right? I always use this example, If we're in the Sunday feast and we're distributing gulab jamuns, we might not be so merciful because we want to keep some for us. We worry, what if they run out before I make my plate? So Srila Prabhupada had this great formula. You know what he used to do? So all the devotees who were assigned to distributing prasadam, he would feed them first. So once they were fully fed, then he would give out prasadam sumptuously and lavishly. Seriously, Srila Prabhupada was so practical. He understood the human nature. So all of those who served prasad, they first ate nicely, and then because Prabhupada wanted to fill us up to our necks in prasad, because he was so merciful, wanting to see us overcome all of our challenges. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is considered most merciful because he gives us this process of how to go back home, back to God, and so easily, so quickly. And what makes him most merciful is that he doesn't look at our qualifications. He actually says, whoever is least qualified, is the earliest recipient of my mercy. Now that's mercy. Think about that. Whoever is the least qualified is the earliest recipient. Where you say that, it's a flood of Krishna prema. And we know, when the waters break the banks of a river, where does the water first settle? The lowest points. It finds the lowest point. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's love. Is that he does not consider what our qualifications are, what past pedigree we have, our resume per se. He just gives and gives. And so this is why he is called the most merciful. So how many of us would like to obtain the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Krishna himself, who has come in the mood of a devotee to give us this life of peace and happiness eternally. You all want it? So how to get it? This is where Lord Nityananda comes in. Lord Nityananda, he holds the key to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart. He is the personification of devotional service. He is the personification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love. How dear Lord Nityananda is? Let us read from Chaitanya Bhagavat this verse. So this is a description of Lord Nityananda. And after hearing this description, we may lament how I did not know all of this about Lord Nityananda previously. And who is speaking this? This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, Krishna himself, telling us how glorious Lord Nityananda is. He says, I understand that you being Lord Nityananda, I understand that you are the full power of Godhead. Only by worshipping you can a living entity attain devotional service to Krishna. You are able to purify the 14 worlds. Your confidential characteristics are inconceivable and unfathomable. Who is qualified to recognize you? For you are the personified wealth of loving devotion to Lord Krishna. If a person associates with you even for a moment, he will be delivered, even if he has committed millions of sinful activities. I have understood that Krishna will deliver me. Who is speaking? I have understood that Krishna will deliver me because he has given me your association. Out of great fortune, I have seen your lotus feet. Just by worshipping you, I will achieve the wealth of love for Krishna. Lord Gauranga was fully absorbed as he incessantly offered prayers to Lord Nityananda. Now, how many of us want to see Lord Nityananda after hearing this? He is the only means to attain devotional service. He is qualified. He is association even for a moment. One can be delivered from millions of lifetimes of sins. And by the unlimited mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have the opportunity to be in the association of Lord Nityananda. How? In his Archa Vigraha form. It is non-different. We may perceive a difference, but actually there is no difference between the deity form and Lord Nityananda himself. And we see by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Krishna himself saying, just by having his darshan, I have become purified. So this is the glory of Lord Nityananda. And we see his glory shown in many, many different pastimes. So I wanted to share one, and we're not going to discuss the pastime in detail, but the parts that relate to the glories of Lord Nityananda, that clue us into how important he is for all of us in our process of devotional service. Okay? How many of you heard the pastime of Jagai and Madai? Some of you have and some of you have not. Good. So we won't discuss the details of the pastime again, but I wanted to cover a few topics. So I'll give a short overview, synopsis, and then go into 4 important lessons from this passage that glorify Lord Nityananda exhaustively. But not exhaustively, I should say extensively. Actually, at the end of this chapter in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that Lord Nityananda's glories are so voluminous, so unlimited, that even Lord Shiva with thousands of mouths is not able to get to the end of Lord Nityananda's glories. So whatever we can grasp today is just a small, tiny spark, a fraction of Lord Nityananda's full glories. Even Lord Shiva himself has not yet exhausted his glories. So in this pastime of Jagai Madai, Lord Nityananda was the chief lieutenant in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtana army. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to spread the chanting of the holy names, he asked Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur to go out and to preach and to ask people to begin to chant the holy names of the Lord. And so Lord Nityananda would go out door to door, and he would knock on the door, and he would beg, please chant, please chant. Sometimes people would slam the door shut in his face, and he would take a straw in the street, put it between his mouth, and knock on the door again, and humbly beg, please chant, please chant. Lord Nityananda is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Lord Balaram Ji. But he is so anxious, so full of mercy, more mercy than even Mahavadhanaya, that he is begging us to chant. And so in this we understand that actually our path to chanting the holy names of the Lord, our path to fulfilling the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to chant, it comes through the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So whatever struggles, whatever opportunity we hope to gain in chanting of the holy names, we should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Because by his mercy, our chanting can become potent and increased. Because he is begging us to chant. So if we beg for his mercy, you can imagine how quickly he will bestow it upon us. So, Lord Nityananda, being the great devotee, wanted to glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there were 2 personalities, Jagai and Madai, who were most fallen. They were severely sinful. Their sins actually could not even be comprehended in totality. They were so sinful. And Lord Nityananda said, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivers them, then everybody will know how potent Mahavadhanaya, Lord Chaitanya Gauranga Mahaprabhu is. So in that mood, they went to go preach to Jagai and Madai. And, some encounters occurred, and ultimately they were chased away. Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur were chased away by this Jagai and Madai, who were in a drunken stupor, in a mood of rage and anger. And so they ran away. And they came back to the home of Advaita Acharya. And there Haridas Thakur was quite elder to Lord Nityananda, began to file a complaint against Lord Nityananda, saying, this foolish person, he takes me into these scary drunkards, and he's young, so he runs away fast, but I'm left behind and almost got caught by these 2. And like this, he's filing all these complaints about how he's swimming in a river full of crocodiles, and how he's stealing the milk, from the cows, and stealing the butter from the elderly ladies, and always Haridas Thakur is getting caught. Like this, he's complaining. But he said, this time he's gone too far. I'm not going out with him. This Jagai and Madai, they're too dangerous. They'll kill us next time they see us. And he handed in his resignation letter. And Advaita Acharya just started to laugh. And this complaint made its way to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And you know what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said? Jagai and Madai, they have already been delivered. because they laid their eyes on Lord Nityananda, they were delivered. Their eyes laid on Lord Nityananda were in a mood of animosity, were in a mood of rage, not even in the mood of love, but so powerful is the form of Lord Nityananda that just by seeing him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established, Jagai Madai are already delivered. You can see Lord Nityananda every day, every Sunday in the temple. Srila Prabhupada personally installed these Gauranitai deities to bestow that same blessing upon all of us. We may perceive, some distance between here and there, maybe an effort, some time, it's cold, it's that. But to become fully delivered, even just seeing in a neutral mood, how much benefit we get. So the next time we see Lord Nityananda in his Archa Vigraha form, just remember, Jagai Madai, the most sinful of the sinful. Yamaraj's scribes, their hands were breaking, trying to keep up and writing all the sins that they were performing. They had to tag team. That's how much they had. They were delivered just by seeing Lord Nityananda. The pastime continues in which Jagai Madai specifically, attacked Lord Nityananda. Now he was delivered, but yet to be delivered. So he continued in his sinful ways. And the next time he met Lord Nityananda, he attacked him with a wine bottle. And Lord Nityananda started to bleed. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not tolerate that offense. Krishna will tolerate all offenses to him. But if you offend one of his devotees, he cannot tolerate it. And he immediately called for Sudarshana Chakra to come and destroy Jagai Madai. But who stopped him? Lord Nityananda. This is compassion. This is forgiveness. This is tolerance. All the descriptions you all gave about mercy. He stopped him from destroying Jagai Madai. He said, you have come to kill the sins of people with the holy names, not with the weapon of your chakra. And so, Jagai Madai began to plead to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please forgive us. Please forgive us. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I cannot forgive. But then Lord Nityananda reminded or explained to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one fact. He said that Madai was about to hit me a second time. But what happened? Jagai told him to stop. Now note, Jagai didn't stop him the first time. But he stopped him the second time. And you know what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said? Because you have protected my Lord Nityananda, you have purchased me. This is how dear one becomes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu if one performs even the smallest amount of service to Lord Nityananda. Jagai just stopping his brother from hitting a second time pleased Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so much, he gave himself to Jagai. So imagine if we render just a little bit of service. In a few moments we'll have an opportunity to offer Abhishek to Lord Nityananda. And we can just wonder how fortunate we are. How pleased Mahavadanya Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be by this service. We see from this action. But Madai was not forgiven by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I cannot forgive you. You have offended my devotee. Only my devotee can. What do you think Lord Nityananda did? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful. He actually tells Lord Nityananda to do something. He doesn't just tell him to forgive him. He tells him, embrace him. Why? Because when Lord Nityananda embraced Madai, all of the purity of Lord Nityananda entered into the heart of Madai. And Madai became purified. This is the potency of touching the form of Lord Nityananda. Those of you who are second initiated, you have an opportunity to dress the deities of the Lord. Next time you dress Lord Nityananda, just imagine what potency, what benefit you are getting from embracing him. And those who are not, tomorrow you take initiation and it will happen. Is it impossible? Not with Lord Nityananda's mercy. It is impossible for Jagai Madai to be delivered. But Lord Nityananda made it happen. So Lord Nityananda can make this happen also. Just pray and see what happens. But Lord Nityananda's mercy goes even further. So after Madai was forgiven, he became a pure devotee of the Lord. So pure, he was chanting 300,000 names of the Lord every day. He was so much devotional service, serving all the devotees. Yet he was lamenting his great offense to Lord Nityananda. So once he met Lord Nityananda in a private garden. And there, Madai is begging for forgiveness. And you know what Lord Nityananda says? Madai, when a child hits a father, does the father take offense? He was hit by a wine pot in the middle of the road in an attacking mood of rage. And how did Lord Nityananda take that? As a small child in a playful mood might accidentally knock a father. This is the compassion of Lord Nityananda. This is the mood and compassion of Lord Nityananda. And he said, Lord Nityananda then makes a statement. He says, because you have served Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he followed the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have purchased me. I have fully surrendered to you because you have served my beloved Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Nityananda says that to please Lord Nityananda, what do we have to do?
Please, Mahaprabhu.
And to please Mahaprabhu, what do we have to do?
Please, Nityananda.
So Lord Nityananda Ram is our eternal well-wisher. So eager to bestow his mercy upon us. And like this, there are hundreds of other pastimes of Lord Nityananda. How he bestowed his mercy upon us. Because he is performing the mission of Krishna, who is eager to wait for us, Lord Nityananda is the key to our accessing the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so, let us now, we'll read this, we can pass those around. And we'll read this bhajan by Narottam Das Thakur and discuss it a little bit. You can pass. I think I have enough copies. So this is this is a beautiful prayer composed by Narottam Das Thakur, in which he is glorifying Lord Nityananda. As we said, there is no end to the glorification of Lord Nityananda, but this will be the end of our glorification today. So, Narottam Das Thakur is a great acharya in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. He was bestowed Krishna Prema directly by Gauranga Mahaprabhu himself. And he gave us one very special gift, which is that he made all of the intricate details of devotional service very easy to understand through these bhajans in very simple, plain Bengali language. Gorkishore Das Babaji said, if you want Krishna Prema, go to the bookstore and buy 2 books, Prarthana and Prema Bhakti Chandra. The 2 books containing all of the bhajans, not all, many of the bhajans of Narottam Das Thakur. Just by reading these bhajans, one can achieve pure devotional service. And this is the great Narottam Das Thakur. And he has composed many bhajans about Chaitanya, about Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so I thought we'd just discuss this a little bit. So everybody has a sheet? If not, you can share. Did we run out? I hope not. Everybody has some? Or at least is it within eyes reach of one? Okay. So we'll just go kind of line by line and discuss this a little bit. And then we'll sing this bhajan. Is that okay? So the first line is Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Sushita. Nitai Pada Kamala. The lotus feet of Nitai, of Lord Nityananda. They are like millions of moons. Soothing like millions of moons. Koti Chandra Sushita. Srila Prabhupada explains that, in the very heavy heat days, when the sun settles, all the people, they enjoy the soothing moon rays as a way to rejuvenate at the end of the day. This moonlight is very, very soothing. And Lord Nityananda is more soothing than koti, millions of chandras, of moons. Jai Chaya Jurai, Jagata Jurai. That the whole world is being nourished by these moonbeams coming from where? The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So next time we see Lord Nityananda's feet, we can imagine the cooling rays of millions of moons. But we must understand, Narottam Das Thakur says in the 3rd line, this Heno Nitai Bine Bai Radha Krishna Paitena, that if one doesn't take to the mercy of Lord Nityananda, one cannot obtain the mercy of Radha Krishna. To think we can go directly to Radha Krishna service doesn't work that way. We must go through Lord Nityananda. So what should one do? He says, Jidda Kori, with great enthusiasm. One should hold on to the feet of Nityananda. Daro Nitayar Pai. Hold on to the feet of Lord Nityananda. That is how one will find success. But in this 2nd verse, we see a description of our current situation. What is our current situation? Say Sambandha Nahi Ja. Sambandha means relationship. We have no relationship. Nahi, no relationship. And what is the result? Vritta Janma Velota. Vritta means useless. Our whole birth is useless. Ooh, that's a harsh statement, no? It's not harsh. It is the reality. Without a relationship with Lord Nityananda, Vritta Janma, Narottam Das Thakur says. Why? He explains the next word. Say Pashu. Pashu means animal. Boro Duracha. That one behaves worse than an untamed animal. Srila Prabhupada says, wow, now Narottam Das Thakur is really getting it. He's right. Even the wildest of animals in the jungle, the tiger, the elephant, you can tame. But the mankind, the human, who has uncontrolled senses, full of lust desires, can it be tamed? Why do we see so many heinous activities taking place day in and day out? Just read the newspaper and you'll be filled with all kinds of say pashu, boro duracha. That's it. This is the reality. Without this relationship with Lord Nityananda, one is wasting their life, Narottam Das Thakur says, living this very sinful life of animal propensity, even worse than animal propensity, he's saying. And what do they do? Nityaina bolilo muke. They're not using their mouth to speak the names of Lord Nityananda, and instead, Ajilo samsari suke. They're trying to find happiness, immersing themselves in the material world. How many varieties of material enjoyment we have tried to get in our life. And what has been the end result, ultimately, of all of it? We've tried so many varieties. I remember as a kid, how many varieties of like Christmas gifts you used to ask for, at least those who grew up here, right? And you think, this one's going to make me happy. And by like January 2nd, you don't even know where it is. But that is childish play. But that unfortunately continues into our adult life, where we are trying, but we don't find that real happiness we are searching for. Why? Because we are just absorbed in this material life. And what happens? This vidya kule ki kori beta, this our knowledge, all of our high birth. How is any of it going to help? It doesn't. The statement of Narottam Das Thakur. And so he continues in the third line. He says, Ahankare matta hoya. Matta means like mad. We become mad in illusion. Stuck in this bodily consciousness, we become maddened. And we forget. Nitai pada pasarya. We forget the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Today we are in the process of remembering again. But how many lifetimes we have forgotten about the glorious feet of Lord Nityananda. But this is what happens. Ahankara, the false ego. The false ego leads us to think I am this body, and we spend our whole life trying to nourish this body. But in the end, we don't find that peace and happiness we want. And it's madness. Because what happens, we keep trying over and over and over again. We're banging our heads against the wall. Ouch. And what do? I bang my head against the wall and I say, ouch. And I bang my head against the wall and I say, ouch. And you all are saying, are you a fool? That's not being critical. That's being factual. But actually, that is how we've carried out our life. If we don't take to the mercy of Nitai Pada Kamala. Because that is the end result of it. And the worst part, asatya re satya korimani. This asatya, what is actually false, we think is real. To think something that is not is very dangerous. Prabhupada in a different context would give the example. If you mistake a snake for a rope and you think it's a rope, what happens? Not good. To mistake truth for false and false for truth is deadly for us. But this is the result of ahankara. This false ego. What we think is reality is actually false, and what we think is false is actually reality. Oh, these are just all nice pastimes that soothe the heart, but the real world exists outside. That's asyata. This falsehood. Seemingly. Yeah. So what to do? Narottam Das Thakur now, after beating us up a little bit, shaking us up to our core, he says, don't worry. What to do? Nitya Karuna Habe. Braje Radha Krishna Pada. If one gets the mercy of Nitai, Karuna, his mercy, if one gets his mercy, then go back to our eternal Father. No. And how much mercy Lord Nityananda is giving? A little bit? Unlimited. So what we should do? Gauro Nitai, Charana Dukhani. We should hold on to these pair of lotus feet who are like Goti Chandra Krishna. Millions of soothing moons. This is what Narottam Thakur now continues in the fourth line. Because he's told us what is false, right? False. He already told. Now, what is the truth? Nitya Charana Satya. This is the truth. This is the reality. Who has understood this? The Tahara Sevaka Nitya. That those who are serving the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, they are eternally liberated, full of bliss and happiness. We want proof, right? That this is the means. Yes. One who takes to the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda is eternally liberated from all material existence. This is the proclamation. So what one should do? Itai pada sada koravasha. Always, sada, always take to the shelter of Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. And now Narottam Das Thakur is begging, Narottama boro dukhi. I am in full difficulty. Dukhi, suffering. Who am I turning to? My bank account? My fortune teller? Nitai more, nitai me. Koro duki, suki. Make me happy. And how is going to make me happy? Rako Ranga. Keep me close to Jaranera, to your lotus feet. This is the means. So Narottam Das Thakur very concisely takes us from the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda to our very suffering condition, worse than an untamed animal, back to. So this is the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So shall we sing this bhajan before we do everything?
Yes.
We have the kartals. We have the kartals.
She has. She's getting it.
Arjun, you have them? So everybody has the sheet? So you can take this and you can sing. Nitai pada kamala, koti chandra sushitala. Nitai pada kamala, koti chandra sushitala. Dechaya jagat jurai. Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Vrinda ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna. So now we'll have Abhishek. And I just wanted to